The young woman at the centre of the stalking case in Chandigarh that has hit national headlines was attacked by some BJP leaders today. A senior Haryana BJP leader asked why she was out at night. "It's none of your business," Varnika shot back, but it doesn't end there. The police also had no answers when asked about reports that crucial CCTV footage from that night was missing. I spoke to Varnika and her father earlier today. Well, the story continues to focus on this Chandigarh case and the way Varnika was harassed, and after that the police's action, or rather lack of it, is certainly something that is our continued focus. Varnika joins us now along with her father on the program. Varnika, thanks so much for speaking to us, and thank you, Mr. Kundu, for joining us this afternoon. Varnika, to you first. Since we spoke yesterday, we have seen, you would have seen all the reports, the stories that we also did on how the charges against the men accused of harassing you and trying to kidnap you have actually been diluted by the police. That attempt to kidnap and attempt to abduct, which you had in your complaint, isn't there anymore.
Well, I mean, like I have been saying also since yesterday, as far as I saw the police and as far as our dealings were concerned, the police did their job exactly like they should have. They helped me as much as they could. Now, how they apply the sections and charges is up to them. I mean, I don't know much about how these things work and how, you know, the law actually, how the technicalities work. That's their job. So I trust that they will continue to do their job as, you know, as well as they did up to now.
But sir, you know, you're very perceptive, I think, as a father, as an IAS officer. I mean, your own post the other day spoke about how you, as a father of two daughters, was determined to see this through. And you mentioned the fact in your post as well, sir, about how you, you know, were taking note of the fact that there are influential people and their children involved over here. When you see what has happened in the last 48 hours vis-a-vis the police and how they're approaching the case, are you getting some knots in your stomach about how this may turn out?
Well, I still have faith in the system that India as a country has, the judicial system that we have evolved over the 70 years of independence. I still have faith on that, and I'm sure in the end, justice will be done. That said, I am also very grateful to Chandigarh police for saving my daughter and really protecting her. The protection system, the prevention system is working perfectly. I would expect the dispensation of judicial system also to work exactly in the same way. But I must express that today I came to know from some media friends that CCTV footage has been reported as missing. It has been said that most of the CCTV cameras which were on that route are dysfunctional. That was a great disappointment. That has kind of shaken my belief in the system. I had spoken to the DGP today. He has given assurance that they are trying to secure that footage, but that has definitely started raising some questions in my mind now.
And then, you know, and that's certainly a concern. Varnika, what we're also seeing is, and frankly, I'm not surprised in a way, this kind of social media campaign that's now begun about you. And you know, questioning even why you were out late at night. There's a senior BJP leader from Haryana who said you shouldn't even have been out at that hour. All kinds of other crazy questions are being raised on social media. What would you say to that today? I mean, as usual, those who are victims of such crimes end up sort of being scrutinized far more.
I don't think it's about scrutiny. I think it's it seems to be a well-established tactic to try and intimidate me into backing off, because of course, you know, I'm supposed to be wondering about what this is going to do to my image and my life. But what would those guys have done to my life if they had caught me? And what can these people do? As far as the official who has raised concerns about why I was out so late, for one, it's none of his business or anyone else's. It's my business and my family's. What I do and where I go and at what time I do it is my business. And secondly, if it wasn't for men like these, the ones who tried to terrorize me, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be unsafe going out whether it's 12 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. What are they trying to say? Are they trying to say that men change at night? I can be in a room with 15 men standing around me at this time, but because the sun is out, it's okay. But at night, if this happens, then suddenly it's my fault. And suddenly what does something change in the men? Does the sun keep them safe? Can the men not control their urges at night? Why am I the one being questioned? I was the one that they tried to victimize. I was the one who could have lost a lot. I am the one who was basically under attack. And yet those guys are not being questioned. Why am I? Why should I have to answer your questions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mr. Kundu, isn't that part of the problem, where today, instead of focusing on what has gone wrong, going after those and ensuring that justice is done, those who are, behind such crimes, there are these campaigns that are launched, and it seems almost organized the way that it happens. Vilification, you pull out photographs, there are innuendos, and then you have senior, leaders of the ruling party, asking, why was Varnika out at night? She shouldn't have been out at night. Doesn't that disappoint you very deeply as a citizen, as a father, that this is what the discourse has come to?
It absolutely does. And what is being said about girls not venturing out after dark is almost exactly the same thing as saying that they should not actually come out of the fetus. There is no, in my mind, there is no difference between killing a fetus of a girl and killing her life as a human being. If we, as a country, if we cannot allow the girls to be equal citizens in the country with the same amount of freedom as the boys have, what kind of a country are we? What kind of a society are we? Are we barbaric, or are we a civil society at all?
Varnika, I remember when we spoke yesterday, you said that at the time that you filed this complaint and when all this was happening, you didn't know who these perpetrators were, who your harassers were. You obviously found out later that one of them is the state BJP chief's son. Did that worry you in any way about whether, you would get justice? Have you, even now when you see the charges being diluted, do you worry at all whether this will go to its logical conclusion?
Well, I mean, when I sat there in the police station filing a complaint against two guys who were, who were basically, as far as I know, trying to abduct me, I actually sat there thinking to myself, being relieved that there were no connections. Being relieved that these are guys who are actually going to face the wrath of the system and who are actually going to, face the punishment for what they've done. So now, of course, I mean, I am skeptical, but I still have faith. I'm still going to keep faith. I think it's way too early to tell whether or not this is going to be influenced in any sort of way. But for now, I'm going to still keep my faith in the system and hope that the system that was built for me will deliver.
And has there been, Varnika, any kind of indication from the men who harassed you, any remorse when you filed the complaint? Was there any apology, any sort of acceptance of what they had done?
Well, they kept saying it was a mistake. But a mistake doesn't last that long. A mistake is not that intense. A mistake happens once, not for kilometers, not till, the cops don't have to come and stop you from making one mistake. It wasn't a mistake. So there is no way, you can apologize to me 1,000 times. What is an apology going to do? You can apologize to me now because I saved myself. The cops saved me. But if I hadn't been saved, who would you apologize to then? What is an apology going to do? This is not, it's not a fight between two 5-year-olds. This is life or death.
Absolutely. Mr. Kundu, I know you say you still have faith in the system, but as, do you, I mean, you know how the system works, sir. I mean, you know how things can be manipulated, they can be twisted, they can be influenced. And again, we've already seen a dilution of the charges. You've seen this bail for both of them so very quickly. And even though you still keep the faith, does that concern still reside in the back of your head that if you're not hammering away at this point about what happened to your daughter in the media and really going to town with this, that this is a case that may just go under the radar?
Well, I still must say that I want to keep my faith alive in my country, in my society, in my legal system. And I feel, if justice cannot be done in a cut and dried case like this, where I as a complainant and my daughter as the victim are saying very clearly that we are not going to back out of our versions, we are not going to back out due to any kind of pressures. When the whole sequence is there in the police records, how the entire thing has happened, here is a set of complainants who are speaking nothing but the truth. We do not want to aggravate anything. We do not want to dilute anything. We want the system to deliver justice, which is our right. The system is meant to do it. It's the responsibility of the system to give justice to me. It is the responsibility of this country to defend my daughter, to protect my daughter, to keep her safe. And if some wrong has been done to her and me, then to right that wrong and to deliver justice. It's the responsibility of the state. And I will say that, okay, for me this is then a test case. If this kind of a case does not get justice, then I will say, all the other cases with people with less resources than I have at my disposal and with less inherent belief in the system than I have in me, actually need not even bother to try for justice then. That will really be a shame for me, and I will in that case be ashamed to be a part of a society of that kind.
What would you say to the BJP Vice President of Haryana who is questioning why Varnika is staying out late? What would you say to him if you had anything to say?
Well, Mark Twain had said, once that people who don't know what to do with their hands should try keeping them over their mouths. I feel people who have no sense of propriety and equity and equality have no business being in this world. They belong to thousands of years ago. They are prehistoric animals, in my view.
Well, Varnika, I want to ask you the last question, and that is on, what you would say to other women who are stalked and harassed in the way that you were. There are often women who don't go and complain to the police. You had the presence of mind. You said yesterday as well that it was the most natural thing for you to do, to dial 100, because you believe in the system and the fact that the police are meant to be there to protect us. Often women are reluctant to do that and to fight and to even reveal their identities, and you have no qualms about that. What would you say to other young women, who find themselves in similar situations?
I would say that you need to stop being afraid. I mean, this is what they play on. This is what these predators like these guys who did this is what they prey on. They feast on our fear because they count on it. All of the slander that is happening, they count on my fear and my fear causing me to back off. So I think these women need to understand, and also their parents, that instead of instilling the fear of the dark or of going out alone in us, they need to empower their daughters to be able to do those things and to be responsible for themselves. My parents did that with me, which is why I'm here today, which is, which is probably why I could save myself that night. So this is what the parents and the women need to do. We need to change our attitude towards ourselves first. We are the ones who need to empower ourselves. And if you depend on someone to save you, then the same person that you depend on can also endanger you.
Well,
so why do we need to depend on a man?
Absolutely.
We want equal rights. We want to be feminists. We want to be equal to men in every way. We have to start with ourselves.
Well, I think it's terrific that you're fighting this, Varnika, and I wish you and your father all the very best. It is something that, as I said, has not escaped the national media's attention. The pressure will be kept up. All the best to the both of you in fighting this. And thank you for speaking to us. Thank you. I was speaking to Varnika and her father earlier today. It's really amazing how her father, who's a serving IAS officer, is standing by his daughter absolutely in this all the way. I'm joined on the phone line now by the Member of Parliament from Chandigarh, Kiran Kher, who is, of course, a senior BJP MP as well. Ms. Kher, we just heard what Varnika was saying, especially to the, comments that some have raised, including BJP leaders, about why she was out at night. I mean, what would you say to that? This whole thing about victim shaming, questioning the victim about her whereabouts, what she was doing, what she was wearing. What world are we living in?
Well, I really wonder what world we are living in. I've tweeted against this also. I condemn that statement. I am ashamed by that statement. But unfortunately, the mindset of most of the people in this country who make this kind of statement. It's a tragedy and a travesty of our time. And we can predict in time, so there are girls who are doing so well, living complete lives. And then somebody like this comes up to work and makes kind of sexist statement. It's shameful, really. Shameful.
Ms. Kher, we can't hear you very clearly. I'm going to apologize and we're going to dial you again. So just give us a minute. We're going to hang up and dial you again because the line is really bad. I can't hear you very clearly. And I know that you've condemned this right from this morning. Let me just go across to my panel tonight. Senior Supreme Court lawyer Vrinda Grover with us this evening. Gul Panag is joining us tonight from Mumbai. She's also a Chandigarh girl, if I could use that expression. Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Congress, and we'll be joined by the former DGP of Punjab, Mr. Chandrasekhar, as well shortly. Vrinda Grover, to you first. Classic case of trying to malign the survivor here, the woman concerned, not just by party leaders, but, on social media as well. I'm sure this doesn't even surprise you.
No, not at all. In fact, I think what is different and what brings hope to us as women across the country and as mothers of young women is Ms. Kundu and Mr. Kundu, and I want to salute both of them. And I think this is where hope lies. If things are to change in this country, the manner in which they have spoken out, the determination they have shown, and how Mr. Kundu has very clearly said this is about equal citizenship. And Ms. Kundu herself saying that the kind of weapons that they have in their arsenal of shaming us, we are not going to allow them to use this against us. And I want them to know that there are many of us across the country who stand by them, who salute them for the steps that they have taken. I also am extremely happy to hear Ms. Kher condemn this, and I think this is what it requires across party lines. We have to take a stand on the issue of violence against women and sexual violence against women. I only want to add one or two things here. If it was a case of somebody having been arrested for corruption, would the party not have suspended the person? Why is it that when it comes to crimes against women, we see it as even a lesser crime than corruption? And this is across party lines. Every single party behaves in this manner. We have been told by the BJP that the Haryana BJP leader will not resign. What is this? What is the impunity which this young man, Mr. Vikas Barla, was enjoying, which allowed him to think he could perhaps, go and try and abduct this woman or harass her in any way or perhaps commit some crime on her? What was the impunity that he was enjoying in his head? How will that go away? If Mr. Barla continues to be the head of BJP, is it not a situation where the legal investigating system is perhaps in a way more accessible for him? He can influence it.
I think that's the point.
Those are the reasons why the resignation is required, so that the faith that Mr. Kundu is showing in the legal system is on test here, not Ms. Kundu. Will the legal system stand this scrutiny or not?
I think that's a very important point, and Brinda, I do want to come back to you to also ask you about the various sections under and the various charges that we've seen these two men being booked under. Gul, you know, as Brinda said, this is a test for the legal system, and it's really remarkable that even now father and daughter are saying that, you know, despite everything, they want to believe that the system will do them right. They still continue to keep the faith in the system and hope that, you know, that they do get justice. I mean, how important do you think it is, this case is, as an example to other women out there, that we need to speak out, that women need to speak out and stand up for themselves when things like this happen?
Nidhi, as someone who's from Chandigarh, I've never had to think twice before driving at any given point of time at night, going for a run late at night, and I'm actually appalled that something like this happened in the city that I call home. But having said that, I'd like to actually start by praising and appreciating the work of the Chandigarh police, how quick they were to respond and to take forward the matter thereon. Now, while I say that, I'd also like to salute, as ma'am has said before me, both Mr. Kundu and Ms. Kundu, who have taken this position and have said that they won't back down. Now, I think it's important that we understand the fact that this is not just only a case of a young woman being stalked, harassed, and you know, allegedly. Well, an attempt to kidnap also was allegedly made in the statement. I was just reading the statement that Ms. Kundu has given. But it's also of driving under the influence of alcohol. They have been booked under Section 185 of the Motor Vehicles Act. Now, what impunity do you have to attempt to not only do what you're doing with this young woman, but also to drive completely under the influence of alcohol and assume that you'll get away with it? Now, for me, that's really, really worrying. And yes, of course, I think women must everywhere step up and take this fight to its logical conclusion, and not everybody, as Mr. Kundu said earlier, has the access or the means to take this forward. But prima facie, I think it's very, very clear that the faith in the system remains. After all, the police acted fantastically. Now, what kind of charges should have been, should the gentlemen have been booked under, whether they were diluted, are all separate matters for legal opinions to give their point of view on. But I would just like to say that when you have senior leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party saying, why was this lady out at night? Well, because you assured us that we'd be safe. Enough of that bahut hua nari pe waar business. We assume that you guarantee our safety, and if you can't guarantee our safety in this world, then I would like, you know, my submission would be, then exclude us from the income tax net, because if we pay our due, then we should be treated as citizens who require equal protection. Having said that, as Ms. Grover said earlier, this business of talking down the victim and questioning what she was wearing, who she was with, what time of night it was, is something which cuts across political lines. If you recall, Madam Dixit, who was then the Chief Minister of Delhi during the Nirbhaya case, said exactly the same thing. So if the state cannot guarantee my freedom, then the state has no business demanding anything from me.
Right.
Fundamentally.
Well, I have Kiran Kher back on the line, and I'd like to go back to her. She's, of course, the Member of Parliament from Chandigarh. Ms. Kher, sorry, we had a bad line with you earlier, and you were condemning this sort of questioning of you know, where the victim was at night and what happened. It's really sad also that just this evening, Shaina NC, who is a spokesperson of your party, the BJP, she tweeted a photograph of Varnika with some young men and said that, you know, this was her with this Vikas Barala, the man she's accused of harassing her, and, you know, called her the so-called victim. She tagged the Prime Minister on that tweet. And there's been a lot of outrage about that. In fact, we have pictures of that tweet. We can just bring that up. She later deleted that tweet and claimed that her account was hacked and, you know, all messages should be disregarded. But she's a spokesperson of the party, Kiran Kher. I mean, you know, I was honestly taken aback as a journalist to see a party spokesperson and someone like Shaina tweet this way. What would you say to that?
Nidhi, I don't believe at all that Shaina could have tweeted something like that, because we have all been supporting this young girl all through. I have been very strong in my support, and I think that when she says her account was hacked, or probably it's being managed by somebody else, And that person has put this over there. That is what she was explaining on another channel, which I heard. And I can never believe that China would tweet something like that. So I would really rather believe her. And when I say that whatever has been said about a girl being out late at night, when they show these kind of pictures with her at a party or out for dinner or enjoying herself, it is so silly. In no way do they shame her. They shame themselves. Because if there is a young lady who's moving ahead in life and working and enjoying herself and living a complete life, she has every right to do that. This country is a free democracy. It guarantees her safety and a right to do that. Any girl or boy at any time in any city should be safe. We have to give that safety to them. It's their right. And we cannot have people shaming them for things which are nothing to be ashamed about. It's laughable if you ask me. It's pathetic. If they're living in some medieval mindset, if they're going to put pictures like that about the girl and think it will change our opinion about the incident that happened. Because whatever incident that happened is regrettable, sad, unfortunate. I'm just so glad as a mother that this girl is safe. I'm just so glad as the MP of Chandigarh that she and her father have both praised the police and that the police are doing a good job. And I think we leave it at that because I don't think anybody in Chandigarh is going to come under any political pressure. My party leadership at the center is certainly not going to come under political pressure.
Well, I think that's been very well articulated by you just now. But Ms. Kher, there are concerns, for instance, that earlier the police did put the attempt to kidnap charge. Suddenly that was dropped. Then when asked about whether the CCTV footage of that night was missing, the police didn't answer that question at the press conference today. So that's raising more questions at the moment.
You know what, Nidhi, I have a feeling that the CCTV cameras might not have been working. Half the time, the stuff in these CCTV cameras which have been put up, I don't know how they maintain them or whether they are maintained at all. And the problem with India is that most things are not maintained, and especially things which belong to public sectors. So it's a possibility that might be embarrassing for them to say that they are not. I mean, I don't know. I'm in Delhi. I'm not in Chandigarh. I've been here for Parliament all through. And that could be a reason. I've not had time to speak to anybody about this issue that you're bringing up now. But let me tell you that there is no political pressure on them. Because it's a union territory, it's under the Home Ministry, and I don't think any political pressure will work.
Well, the question is, though, that the charge has been diluted. I mean, they were able to walk out on bail pretty quickly. So there is a concern here that there is pressure that's come in, because when the police first arrived at the scene, which they did quickly and they saved her, they didn't know, who they were arresting, and then the penny dropped.
No, I think what happened was that when I inquired about this was that the boy's father along with his lawyer went there, and when they checked the girl's statement, which was in front of the magistrate, I think she had said that I think they were trying to kidnap me. Then the minute she says I think they were trying to kidnap me, the police has to take legal opinion. That does it mean that you see, they cannot verify intent. They cannot verify this thing of somebody thinking something. It has to be clear cut. So if it is clear cut, the judiciary will take a call on that. The police can't. So maybe that is why they are taking legal opinion about that, about how to move forward. I'm sure.
But there was
a
flip-flop.
It will happen.
Initially, they were ready to go with that charge, and then they changed it.
Because
there was a flip-flop.
I heard the policeman saying on the television, because I'm also I can see the news and get to know what's happening, that he said that I had not seen the statement at that time. It had not come to me. And he had just heard this young lady, and then when the 164 statement came, this is what it said. So that is what I heard. And when I've spoken to the DGP or to the other officials of the Union Territory of Chandigarh, they have said there's no political pressure, ma'am, and rest assured it's a procedure and we are taking legal opinion, and whatever is lawfully right will be done. please rest assured. That is what they have told me.
All right. Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on that and hold them to their word. Kiran Kher, thanks a lot for talking to us. Priyanka Chaturvedi, just your first thoughts on what Kiran Kher has said. It's really commendable, though, that as the Member of Parliament from Chandigarh, she's not mincing her words. She's very clear about how she feels about this and what some of her colleagues have done and said today.
No, absolutely. It's very heartening to know that she stands by the woman and wants to ensure justice is done to what really happened and transpired that day. The questions that I have in my mind when I was listening to Ms. Kiran Kher was, how is it that while she stands for the woman, she's not seeking any accountability from her party representatives who've gone on record to make, comments about the girl? Whether it is the Shaina NC tweet or whether it is the Vice President, Mr. Bhatti, making an unfortunate comment as he did. The second point which she says, as an elected representative of Chandigarh, who's representing Chandigarh, I find it very surprising when she says that she does not feel the need to be in Chandigarh right now when something as big as this has happened. Secondly, when she talks about CCTV and she says, you know how public sector works and CCTVs don't work, are we realizing that you are totally diluting the legal cases, legal charges against Vikas Barala by saying if we do not have CCTV footage, what foolproof evidence are we going to be providing once the judicial process begins? So it's extremely unfortunate that we end up saying that, this is how India works. If this is something in 2014, when you all went on for your campaigning, you all promised, committed to the women of this country, that you all would ensure that no injustice is done to them, that they are safe, that they are secure. These are your campaign promises. You cannot turn around today and say that, so what, CCTVs are not working. This is going to have a huge impact on the judicial process. I was listening to Ms. Brinda Grover right now, and I quite agree with her that it will also stand legal scrutiny. But this particular case will also stand for political will and the political commitment coming from elected representatives of not just Chandigarh, but the people in centre as far as this particular case is concerned and providing justice to this girl is concerned. That is where we stand today, and that is what we should be working towards. Is there a political will, or is that something that is clearly missing in this particular case?
Vrinda, just wanted to ask you though on the police flip-flop on this. What do you make of that? I mean, if this attempt to kidnap charge had stuck on these guys, would they have been out on bail so fast?
I just want us to backtrack a little bit, and I think that's a very important question. And you yourself said that, when they responded to her distress call, they didn't know who had been chasing her and stalking her and trying to pull her out of the car. Nobody knew, and therefore the response was what it was. But once the identity and the political affiliations of the accused are known, we suddenly see that, for everything a legal opinion has to be sought. And it's very unfortunate the MP in a very blasé manner tells us, the CCTV are not working. Although at every meeting we are told CCTV footage is going to solve the problem of sexual violence. Most of us have been saying, no, it will not help us. So, of course, a lot of money is pushed into it, including from the Nirbhaya Fund. And then we are very casually told, it's not working, so it doesn't really matter. And it's not one CCTV. There would be many along the route that she's talking of. So let's also see what the hell is going on with the public money allocated for women, so to say. Insofar as the police is concerned, and let me, we've all been given many assurances here. Well, nobody is going to actually pick up the phone and tell the DGP that, so-and-so is X, so you need to take it a little easy on how you proceed. We all know that these things happen very insidiously, quietly, the minute the media arc lights are away from the case. It happened in the Ruchika Girotra case. It is the most horrific tale that one can talk of sexual harassment, sexual violence of that young girl, and how the police over there repeatedly ensured that the entire family was ruined for that girl being brave enough to raise the case. Here again, she is up against a very powerful politician. What has history taught us of looking into these cases? What has Haryana and Chandigarh taught us? It's under any political regime. Party politics makes no difference in these cases. It has taught us that the system and the legal system is not permitted to work. It is manipulated in favor of the accused. Coming to the sections, let us first talk about stalking. And I'm reminded today very clearly of the day this bill was being discussed in Parliament. I was present in the gallery of Lok Sabha, and I recall leaders from various male leaders, including Mr. Sharad Yadav and others, laughing and saying, come on, you can't make this a crime. This is the way we made girlfriends in our youth.
Yeah,
and this is how we approach girls. This would be recorded in the Lok Sabha. Today, if you have stalking as a crime, it came in only in 2013.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. Supposing stalking did not exist as a crime, what would she tell the police? What is happening? There are two men in an SUV chasing her. She's fearful, and there are people today who are challenging the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013. There are people, and there is already a backlash calling it draconian. What is happening is a public emergency. Half the population of this country is not safe on the roads, is not safe in the home. Will somebody treat this as a serious and urgent issue instead of passing the buck to X and Y?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, more serious
Brinda, I have to leave it there.
Need to be brought in.
I have to leave it there
stalking
tonight.
is a very, very serious offence. Stalking is made bailable and is diluted for the kind of gravity that this crime actually carries.
Absolutely, and I can tell you that I have been stalked, and I know how scary and awful it is, and honestly, it deserves to be right up there with every other crime against women and needs to be taken seriously. Thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. I want to continue to focus on this issue throughout the week as we continue to ask the Chandigarh police questions on this case, their probe, and about that CCTV footage which Kiran Kher, the Member of Parliament from Chandigarh, now just said possibly that CCTV wasn't working at all, which is why that footage may not even exist.